academic degree, initial leadership experience, now you want to drive forward your career in Germany? The Alexander von Humboldt Foundation is searching for the leaders of tomorrow from Brazil, the USA, Russia, India, and China. The German Chancellor Fellowship offers you an opportunity to take the next career step in Germany, irrespective of your field of work. In order to apply, develop your own project idea and find the host of your choice to mentor you. Once your host has confirmed, you can apply for a fellowship. Beatrice, for example, is a journalist who is looking to raise awareness for the global topic of migration in her home country of Brazil. She found her German host in an NGO and plans to write a blog on her project as well as to produce stories for the Brazilian media. Or Zai. He's an economic expert who worked on a project to promote German-Chinese business relations in environmental technology. Today, he's a project manager with a strategy consultancy firm, controlling activities in the renewable energy sector in emerging markets like China. Fellows get by perfectly well in English.
Hello.
But thanks to a free intensive German course and daily practice, their German improves constantly. Financially, they don't need to worry because the fellowship pays quite enough to live well in Germany. And that's not all. Fellows go on a study tour together, meet the Federal Chancellor, the patron of the program, and make valuable contacts both in Germany and amongst the other international fellows. Would you also like to come to Germany on a German Chancellor Fellowship? Then just find out more.
Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to our live event to promote the German Chancellor Fellowship for Prospective Leaders of Brazil. My name is Stephanie. I'm the Communications Manager at the AHK São Paulo, that's the German Brazilian Chamber in São Paulo, and I'm very happy to be your host today. So as we are going to do this live, I'm going to walk you through the agenda today. So we're going to have two very special guests to welcome you and to talk to you about the benefits of the program that are the Consul General of the Republic of the Republic of Germany here in São Paulo, and Julia Pacheco as well, which is a member of the selection committee. Afterwards, we're going to hear a presentation from Dr. Damian Grasmück, which is the representative of the selection department of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, which is the institution that is promoting this fellowship. And afterwards, we're going to have a Q&A with two alumni as well that are going to give you some tips and tricks about how you can send in your projects and what is very interesting for you to do. So you can have all your questions answered then. We already received some questions from you when you subscribe to see this live. So we have them all written up and we have a very nice program for you. And we plan on ticking every one of the boxes of the questions you have. So what is very important to say is that this live is also being broadcasted on the Facebook page of the Consulate in São Paulo. So if you're watching this from there, you can also comment. We'll receive your comments here as well. And well, let's start. Now I'd like to welcome Jens Gust, who is the Interim Consul General of the Federal Republic of Germany here in São Paulo, and also Julia Pacheco, which is the Associate Dean for Global Affairs at the University FGV, and also member of the selection committee of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. So, how are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you so much for asking.
Everything's great.
Mr. Gust, I'd like to invite you to do your brief speech and to welcome everybody.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm the acting Consul General of Germany in Sao Paulo, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to this video conference, which is the kickoff for the German Chancellor Fellowship this year in Brazil. Brazil is part of the German Chancellor Fellowship since 2014, and in previous years, it was our privilege to host together with the German-Brazilian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Alexander von Humboldt, a big kick-off event in our consulate's residence in Jiaxing. Unfortunately, this year, with the global corona crisis, everything is different for all of us. The important thing, however, is that we keep going, we maintain our optimism, and that we believe that life goes on and that there will be better days ahead again. In that spirit, I would like to encourage you Brazilians who are world champions in optimism to check out this great opportunity of the German Chancellor Fellowship, to come up with your ideas and projects and to apply for the fellowship. People like you demonstrate that Brazil is full of young, talented, creative professionals. And we would very much like to draw on this huge potential as much as we can, with the view of fostering bilateral German-Brazilian cooperation in all areas, such as politics, economics, education, and culture. We firmly believe that fostering contacts and cooperation between open-minded people, exchanging views, knowledge, experience is the best way to create added value for all of us and to create the best for our two countries and perhaps even make the world somewhat a better place. On this happy note, on behalf of the German government, I would like to thank you again for your interest in the German Chancellor Fellowship, and I wish you the best of luck for your applications. And remember, those who will not. Thank you very much, and I give the floor back to Signora Stefanie.
Thank you, Mr. Gust. I would like you to repeat the last phrase because I think we got a little bit of an internet problem there. So if you could be so kind and repeat your last phrase, please.
The last phrase, I do not know which you mean, the last phrase, but let's say I said on this happy note, on behalf of the German government, I would like to thank you again for the interest in the German Chancellor Fellowship, and I wish the best of luck for your applications. And I wanted also to say, remember, those who do not risk will hardly win. And yeah, thank you again. I give back the floor to you, Signora Stefanie.
Thank you. That was exactly the phrase that we were looking for, the important one with the finger and everything. Thank you, Mr. Gust.
You're welcome.
Frau Pacheco, I would like you to please, as a member of the committee, of the selection committee, to welcome everybody as well.
Well, welcome, bem-vindos for this live session on the German Chancellor Fellowship. It's a really great pleasure to be here with you and to represent my 4 other colleagues of the selection committee. I'm working at Fundação Getúlio Vargas here at the Business School in São Paulo. I'm a professor and associate dean for global affairs in this institution. And I've been on the committee since the start, since 2014 for Brazilian fellows. And it has been a great pleasure to meet all these wonderful and exceptional candidates. We are looking for candidates in these selection committees that have a very great, enthusiastic personality, that love what they do, that are great networkers, that really want to learn more, not about Germany, and to bring also their knowledge that they have accumulated here in Brazil to Germany, to build bridges between these two countries. And so far, we are very optimistic. All the candidates that we have been interviewing were very good, and sometimes it's very difficult for us to finalize the decision because we always have more good candidates than slots for the fellowship. So I make it very short. I just can only follow up the recommendation of Jens Gust, meaning be courageous, be optimistic, start your project, build it up, and find a host in Germany. Damian will also come to the details later on. And of course, we have later on the question and answer session. So good luck. And yes, I hope I see all of you later on in my applications that we will read through, and later on, hopefully, in interviews. That's for the time being. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Pacheco. You're also going to be participating in the question and answer afterwards, so we'll still see each other. But I'd like to thank both of you for your kind words now in the beginning. And I'd like to move on now. I'm just going to address something that I'm seeing a lot in the comments here. This live is in English because English is a requirement for the fellowship. Dr. Damian Grasmück is going to talk about this as well. So that's why we don't have, for example, a translation to Portuguese. But let's move on to our very special guest that is logging in directly from Germany. I'd like to welcome Dr. Damian Grasmück, the representative of the selection department of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. And Dr. Damian, how is the weather in Germany?
Oh, it's very hot. Today is really a hot day, and especially it's supposed to get even hotter in the next few days. So we are really having a great summer here. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, we're envying you. Well, we in São Paulo, it's very cold right now. So, oh my God, what a shame.
Yeah, but it's winter for you, no?
Exactly, it's winter. But we expect a Brazilian winter, not a German winter here.
Okay.
Well, let's move on. I know that you prepared a presentation for us that is going to talk about the main topics of the fellowship. So, Dr. Damian, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Viehmann. Bom dia from Germany, once again to everyone. It's my pleasure to make you familiar now with the German Chancellor Fellowship program. And I really try my best to make this a mouth-watering experience for you, because I really think that this is a great program and it has a lot to offer. It's very special, and especially in terms of career prospects, you can have a lot of advantages out of this program. And that's why I think, I hope at least you will like what I am going to tell you now about this program. I would first of all like to draw your attention to the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. Just very quickly, who are we? What do we do? As the name says already, our patron is Alexander von Humboldt, who was born more than 250 years ago. He was a big cosmopolitan, and especially he did big discoveries and big journeys also through Latin America. He was visiting Latin America for 5 years, and that's why I think he's even known in Latin America much more than he's even known in Germany. Unfortunately, he has never been to Brazil because he was sent by the Spanish crown. So he has only visited Spanish-speaking countries. But nevertheless, I think you all will know him very well. And he was in his lifetime already an excellent patron for excellent scientific talents. And that's why he became also our patron when our foundation was founded after World War II in the 1950s. Since then, we sponsor top-flight international researchers, and later on we also started sponsoring high potentials. I would like to stress here also that we have various international cooperations and also one cooperation with the Brazilian funding agency CAPES. Probably most of you know this one, and together with them we grant every year up to 25 CAPES Humboldt Research Fellowships for academics from Brazil. Today we are maintaining a network of 30,000 Humboldtians, as we call them, from all disciplines in over 140 countries. So we are really, really global. And what we are particularly proud of is the fact that there are also more than 50 Nobel laureates in our network. Let's move on now with the German Chancellor Fellowship. I want to give you a historical overview now at the beginning. It goes back, this very special program goes back to the initiative of 3 different chancellors. That's why it's also called German Chancellor Fellowship Program. It all started in 1919, right after the German reunification. Back then, Chancellor Helmut Kohl initiated the program with the United States. So at the beginning, it was a purely bilateral program. And then step by step over the following years, more countries were included. First Russia, then China, and then 7 years ago we included also India and Brazil. And I can anticipate here already that next year we are going to extend the program also to South Africa. So you can see this is a big success story and a program that is growing over the years. As of now, we have approximately 700 German Chancellor alumni in the different program countries. Let's have a look at the target group. Whom are we looking for actually? Basically, we are looking for 2 groups of people. We are looking for accomplished young professionals on one side, and on the other side, we are looking for promising university graduates. Both should have in common an international issues, an interest in international issues. And as this is a leadership fellowship program, they also should have first initial leadership experiences. And in our definition, we have actually a very broad definition of leadership. That means we are looking basically for prospective decision makers, for multipliers, for thought leaders in their field. We are open to university graduates from all scientific disciplines, so it doesn't really matter what you studied. If you have studied mathematics or physics or theology, it really doesn't matter. And the same goes also for young professionals. Also here we are very much open to a broad range of very different fields, such as politics, public administration, business, media, as well as society and culture. Money is not everything, but money is an issue. And here you can see that we pay quite well for our fellowship, especially if you compare it to other fellowship programs. You get up to 2,750 euro per month to cover your living costs in Germany, and that is quite well actually. And additionally, there are also various allowances, and I would just like to draw your attention to the Europe allowance, because with the Europe allowance, you can spend up to 2 months in another European country if your project requires you to do so. With this fellowship program, you can experience Germany in a very special way. You really can dive into Germany. First of all, you get to learn the German language. If you don't speak German yet, which is not a prerequisite, as Steffi Viehmann says already, you need to speak English very well, but you don't need German language skills. But you will learn German language in our language course. And as of now, because of this pandemic, we are also very flexible. For example, many of our current fellows who couldn't come to Germany, who couldn't travel to Germany because of this pandemic, they could already start learning German in their respective home countries. Then we have various programs. Sorry, can you go one more back?
Sorry.
Thank you. No problem. All good. Then we have various program events. For example, the introductory seminar where you will visit many institutions in Germany. Then there is the study tour. This is a more touristic program where you will be sitting in a bus, traveling from west to east, from north to south Germany, and you get to see much more of Germany than probably most Germans ever get to see from their own country. And we have also 2 very big highlights in our fellowship program, which is the annual meeting that always takes place in the summer in Berlin, and you will meet the federal president there. And there is also the final meeting, which also takes place in the summer in Berlin. And there you will usually meet also the chancellor. And in the last years, Ms. Merkel has always taken the time to meet our fellows. I can show you also some pictures about the annual meeting now. Here you can see in the middle, there's our federal president laughing around and around our fellows. And then there is another picture of our final meeting. This was last year in the German Chancellery, and in the middle you can see also the lady in red is Miss Merkel. And in the next picture you see that we are able to adapt to the new situation of a pandemic, because this was our final meeting this year, which took just recently place. And it was, of course, a virtual event, but I was told that it was also very nice. Let's have a look at the application requirement. I said already you should have first proven leadership experiences. You should have a project plan, and it's important. We have a bottom-up principle. That means that the project should be designed by you yourself, and it should be also feasible to be completed during the fellowship period, which is 1 year. Then this is a very special challenge to have already a host in Germany before you apply. That means you need to convince a host with your project before you apply. I will say in the next slide more words also about the host. Then you should also have 2 letters of recommendation. Those should be people that know you, that have been experiencing you, that are able to say something about you. And we don't have any age limits. Instead of an age limit, your first academic degree should be completed less than 12 years before the fellowship is beginning. I said already, finding a host is the biggest challenge in this program. I say host, maybe I should also say it more functions like a mentor actually. And in this program, anyone working for a public or private institution in Germany can be your host. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a professor or something. It can also be a theater director or director of a museum or of an NGO or whatever. Of course, the host should fit to your project. And as we know that this is a big challenge, we try to help you in finding a host. And I would recommend you to have a look at our webpage, because there you will find a letter already that you can send to prospective hosts. And in this letter, everything important is already written, what the host should know about his function and about this program. And we also provide on our homepage a list of former host institutions in Germany, so that you should get a better idea which institutions can act as hosts. And I would also recommend you to contact our alumni associations, because they might also help you. And then there are also German companies and organizations present in Brazil. You might also ask those, and maybe you also have a look at the Chamber of Commerce in Sao Paulo. They might also be helpful to you. Let's go on with the selection criteria. I don't want to go into detail here, but what is important for you to know, if you look at the first 4 selection criteria, they refer to the person. And that reflects also our philosophy, because basically we do funding of people and not of project. That means what someone has done, what someone has achieved so far, that is in the center of our attraction. And only in the second place comes the project and the relevance, for example, of the project to the dialogue of modern societies. So the project is important, but it's even more important what you have done so far in your life. Finally, I would like to show you some impression of our German Chancellor Fellows, so that you get an idea how it looks like. In this picture, I can show you some candidates at the selection meeting, which will take place in your home country. Next year, we are doing still a virtual selection meeting, but I hope the pandemic will also be over one day, and then we will organize again real selection meetings in your home countries. And here you can, another picture of fellows at the final meeting. You see that there's a lot of communication and a lot of networking. And what is also nice, As I said, this program is open to various countries, and you will make also a lot of contacts also to other prospective leaders from America, from China, from India, and so on. Here you can see fellows visiting a German TV station and fellows visiting the Federal Constitutional Court, which is based in Karlsruhe. And this is a nice picture of one of our alumni meeting. You should know that we try to keep in contact with you also beyond the fellowship period. And that's why we are organizing regularly also these alumni meeting in the respective countries. And here you can see a picture of our alumni meeting, which took place 2 years ago in St. Petersburg. Another picture here, you see another alumni meeting last year. It is a little bit more organized in China, in Hangzhou. And with this beautiful picture from a rooftop in Berlin, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. And before I finish, I would really like to stress that our application deadline is 15th of September. So save the date, 15th of September is the application deadline. And you can apply via our webpage, which you find here. There you can fill in an application form, and you can send also online your application to us by 15th of September. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Grasmück. I think a lot of the questions that came in during your presentation were already answered. And I would like to take this moment already to stress them out, because I think that's very important. So once again, I'm going to talk about the English being a requirement, German not, but you learn it during the fellowship. That's right?
Right.
And one of the questions that also a lot of people did were about their courses in the university. So I like to stress that it doesn't matter which course you did. It matters about you and your project. That's right?
This project, this fellowship is not meant for you to study at the university.
No, exactly. So what the people are asking is if they're a graduate in engineering, can they apply? Yes, they can apply, because it's about your project and it's about you, right?
Exactly.
So I'd like to stress these two things out, because I think they're very important, and we got a lot of questions about them. I would like to go to the Q&A now and invite our two alumni that are joining us here today, that are Laura Sobral and Valter Angelo. And of course, Mrs. Pacheco is going to join us as well. So welcome, everybody. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I'm really good.
Yeah, I'm great. And thank you for the invitation.
Are you two in Germany?
I am currently in Berlin. I'm in Berlin right now. Yes, I'm in Germany.
You're finishing your fellow, right, Valter?
I am a current fellow until December this year, so far.
What about you, Laura?
I'm in Lisbon now.
Oh, okay. So a little bit warmer.
Yeah. So, too warm, I would say.
Valter, I would like to invite you to talk a little bit about your project and how you got into this fellowship. I think that's very important for you to give us a little bit about your history and how you've been feeling as a fellow now.
Great. Once again, first of all, for inviting me to share my experiences. My name is Valter Angelo. I'm from João Pessoa, which is a city in the northeast of Brazil. I first got in contact with the fellowship in 2016, actually. It was my first application. So one tip is I'm a reapplicant. I applied 2 times. And in the second one, I got accepted. So if you are applying for the fellowship, and even if you don't get for the first time, don't give up. You can apply a second time, and you can see how this opportunity is really good and would improve your career and perspectives in life. So my project here in Germany is with foreign trade and internationalization of small and medium-sized companies. My field of work and study is international relations and politics. I had my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in Brazil. And I decided at some point in my career that I wanted a step forward, that I wanted to spend some time abroad, and that I would like to use my expertise and my leadership experience towards a project that could benefit and build bridges between my country and some other country. That's how I got to know about the fellowship. And as you will see also in Laura's speech, it is a really long process. It takes time since September to 1 year, from 1 year to April to the other year. So it takes, and even more, it takes you some time to get ready. So it's a whole process, and you have to understand that it takes patience, it takes courage, and it will for sure, as soon as you get it, it will change your life, because you have perspectives that somehow you never had before, for example, in my case. So my experience here as a German Chancellor Fellow is really broad and really interesting. As you saw in the presentation, we got to know many German institutions. We have the German course. We have the chance of building a network in our area with, and also outside our field of study, so outside our comfort zone, which is also very important. So in my field of work, I get to know professionals, my peers, and people that could inspire me to become a better professional and a better person. Well, just saying a little bit more about my project. It is, as I said, with small and medium-sized companies. I'm trying to make a research and a market report for Brazilian small and medium-sized companies export to Germany. And here in Berlin, I am at the German Federation of Industries, the BDI. And but also, as you have heard, you can be from any area. You can be from arts, culture, mathematics, doesn't matter. You just have to make your project and find a host that suits your expertise, both personally and professionally. And I would be really happy to answer your questions, and please count on me.
Thank you, Valter, for your introduction. I would like to invite Laura now to talk a little bit about herself and about your project as well, and your experience as a fellow.
Well, thank you again. I am an architect and urban planner, and I was a fellow in 2017, 2018. My project was about finding out legal frameworks that could support the collaboration between city administration and citizens in improving public spaces. Yeah, I was already kind of exchanging with some German NGOs and collectives about the theme. So I was already with an eye in German development in this sense. And when I was in Germany for a conference, I met a former Chancellor Fellow, JP, that he was in one previous picture. And he said that I should apply because I had the profile and so on. I was doing some things about tactical urbanism and also occupying squares for improving it in São Paulo, Brazil. So, and I was with this in my mind about legal frameworks that could support this kind of civil society mobilization for the improvement of the city. So from there, I already talked with the NGO that was inviting me for the conference, if they could, if they would be interested in being my hosts. And they said yes, so it was, I was really lucky in this sense. And I was in Germany also for the visitors program that Germany invites foreign professionals for knowing their peers there. So yeah, so I really saw kind of in the German Chancellor Fellowship like the perfect fit. I developed my project. I already had a host, and well, the selection meeting was really interesting. But also a bit tense. But it was interesting because so many people just they became my friends after all. So it was very interesting. The opportunity to develop the project in Germany was just amazing. It ended up that I wrote a book. I thought it was just it would be a smaller publication, but it ended up being a real book, which you can buy in the bookstores of Berlin, and now it's being translated to Portuguese. I had also the opportunity to come to Lisbon to have a look in one experience of the city. And now that I'm looking more at this experience in a PhD, so I mean it really changed my career in this sense, and yeah, I just can deeply recommend it, and that's definitely a privilege to be part of the team. And I still today I exchange a lot with my colleagues and fellows from even from other fields, from different countries, and so I'm also super happy to answer your questions and to help how I can, so you can live this also.
Thank you, Laura. I think that was very nice. And I'll jump into the first questions. You already talked about your host experience that went very nicely and smoothly, as you said. So I would like to ask Valter as well, because we are getting a lot of questions. I'm putting some of Vivian here about the host. So how was your experience, Valter, finding a host?
Okay, yes, it took me some time to find a host because I knew from previous experience that I would have to find hosts that had a complementary and made sense for my career and for my life. What I did was I made a list with some host institutions in Germany, and I got their emails and the contact person, which is important, of course. You need to have the contact person that you will apply with. And a tip that I could give you for me that I did, in the Humboldt platform, you can fill out your project with several steps. So you write about your motivation, you write about your project idea, you write about your the schedule timeline for when you are in Germany. So what I did was after the first initial email, like exchanging contacts, I sent my CV and a draft of my project to the host so that he would understand not only what I wanted to do, but also he would have an idea about my professional career. So what I did was selecting these hosts, as I said, and sending them a greeting email and explaining my interest in the fellowship, together with my CV and a draft of my project. And then the second step would be schedule Skype calls, Zoom calls. So you need to also develop some sort of relationship prior to the fellowship so that you can really understand if it suits you, if it suits your needs. So I had several Skype calls with my host so that we could talk about also the expectations, and happily it worked. It took me, I think, a couple months to have the final agreement of the host, but it was really worth it.
Thank you, Valter, for sharing that. I think that these are two very different experiences in getting a host, so it was very good to have both of you talk about this. Also, a very different topic and something that Dr. Damian Grasmück mentioned, the two recommendation letters that are needed. So how did you went about that, Laura? Do you want to start?
Yeah, actually, I asked my master supervisor in Brazil, because I already had kind of a solid relationship, and we already had accomplished something together. So and he knew me well. So I think that's interesting also when they can kind of mention really particularities of your work. So it's not like a copy paste one, but he just also linked to my project idea somehow. And my second one was from the Goethe Institute, because I did some work with them before. So I thought, okay, it's a link with Germany, and also I already organized some events there and so on. So I asked them also because they knew the program and they knew more or less in which direction I would need a letter. But yeah, what I would recommend in this sense is that you perhaps make a draft with your points, and also making some links from the work that you did with this institution or person to your project. So it's easier for them also to write this letter, because sometimes people don't have like so much time to do the research themselves. So anything that you can already put that help them in writing it for you, it's appreciated.
That's great advice. Thank you. Valter, do you want to add something? And I saw you nodding a lot when Laura talked about her.
Yes, because that was basically the same path. I had one from my master supervisor in Brazil, and the second one it was from some a professor actually of mine, but we had a work experience together. So I had this big conference in Rio de Janeiro, in which he put me as the manager of this conference of BRICS, and I had this also not only the professional, the academic connection, but also I had the experience of this professional connection with him for some time. And at this time, he was already at another institution. He was in Brasilia at the Brazilian Senate, but he was one of the persons that could actually tell what of the challenges that I faced during this experience. How could he point out something that he found interesting about working with me? So, and my leadership, this is important. Also pointing out your leadership skills and how you stand as a leader. So that was that's my tip. Someone that can talk to you about academically and also professionally, making sure that the person also expresses its concern, his or her concerns of your leadership skills. I think it would be a good tip.
Thank you, Valter. I have a question for Mrs. Pacheco now, as a member of the selection committee. What are you guys looking for when you're reading these letters, or when you're meeting these persons, well, in person or digital now in this pandemic situation? What are you looking for in candidates?
Yeah, I think Damian already highlighted that very much in his presentation. Clearly, we look for a person and not necessarily for a project. Of course, the project is very important. It has to be consistent. It has to be undertaken within the period of the fellowship. So it has to be terminated in this period, which is also sometimes a problem with some candidates, because the project has such a dimension that it's just not feasible in this period. So it's really important when you plan your project that it should be feasible in the period during the fellowship. I read here some people asking whether they should have started with the project. This is not the case. You can start with the project once you are starting in Germany. And then now the main focus, we look for persons that are in a way leaders. I would even say perhaps natural leaders that have proven this in their career or in their previous life experience. It must not be necessarily in their work where they have been leaders. They can have done this with social projects or other means where they have proven personal initiatives, being very active in bringing together the communities. I mentioned that also in the introduction. We look for networkers, because this program is about bridging Brazil and Germany. So we really look for the potential. What will the candidate do within the next, after the fellowship? How will he continue to support the bridge between Germany and Brazil? So this is also a very decisive factor. Sometimes we had really great projects, but they did not really show why we were talking to the candidate. We could not really see a continuing what line of being a networker between Germany and Brazil. So these are factors that are very important. The person itself, of course, has also a personality. So we look in a candidate also that has sparkling eyes when he talks about his project, of his future plans. Because this is, of course, also an important characteristic when you want to work with other people together to multiplier function. We mentioned that earlier. It means that you also bring other persons on your side and developing plans and projects in the future that go in the same line as your project. So I think that these are the main characteristics that we look forward in a person. Sometimes, perhaps, I think also, I also saw in the comments that some of you are looking for a postgraduate or a PhD scholarship. This is not what we are looking for. We really look for people who have a more professional side. We had projects that were more academic, but we accepted them because they had a professional side on that. For PhD programs and postdoctoral programs, you have other opportunities of fellowships, like the DAAD. The Consulate also mentioned that in its chat option several times. So it's really important to highlight that point too, I think.
Thank you, Mrs. Pacheco. I think that those were very important themes that you mentioned, and I would also like to hear a little bit. I think Dr. Damian Grasmück can talk about this, examples of nice projects, besides, of course, the project of Laura and Valter that they talked about, but maybe just 2 or 3 more examples of projects so that people can detach this notion that it's not about the course in the university that it's not, if you're an engineer or if you're an architect, it's about the project and it's about you.
Yes, there are so many different projects that I've seen, so it's very difficult now to identify or to give you examples. Of course, we had in the past, we had many projects that dealt about the issue of migration. We had many projects about the issue of environmental issues. And I'm sure also there will be projects about this pandemic. I'm almost sure about this. But all this doesn't matter so much, because I would like to encourage everyone to make up his mind and think what he or she wants to achieve in life. And then you should go for it step by step. And this fellowship would be then a significant step that brings you further in this direction. And it doesn't help you if you would, for example, do a project about migration and you have never ever done anything about migration, and you also will never ever do anything about migration. So the project really should fit to you, and it should also fit to your plans, what you want to achieve in life, what your goals are. And I really can encourage everyone to make up his mind, to be original, to differentiate also from the others. If you are just one of many applications who deal with migrations, with migrational issue, then there's nothing special about you. You should think, what is the characteristics that is special for you, that you are unique, and you should go for this. You should stress this. This would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Grasmück. Also, saw questions here in the comment section. I think that's also interesting to talk about how many candidates are going to be selected Do you have a specific number, or does it depend on the year, on the projects, on the people that apply?
That's an easy question because it's also an easy answer. We have for every program country 10 fellows. So it's not so much. They are hand-selected. Julia is agreeing. They are really hand-selected. There's a big concurrence, but still, you can see we have here 2 examples who really managed to beat their competitors and to get the fellowship. So it's really possible, and I really would like to encourage you also to apply because you see you can have a great advantage out of this fellowship in terms of your career prospects.
And then it's just hard work for the selection committee, right?
Exactly.
You have the headaches at the end of the day and the discussion about who's going to get the fellowship. So the hard work is on you guys.
That's what we are there for. That's no problem.
So we're getting to the end of this live event, but I would like Laura and Valter, I'm talking like in Walter, sorry. I would like you to share a little bit about tips and tricks about the interview maybe, or about the project, or about how to get the attention of the members of the selection committee. So if we can finish on that note, I would like to hear some tips and tricks from you guys. Valter, if you'd like to start.
Okay, yeah, I think I do have a good tip. It would be for the candidates to also pay very much attention to the motivation letter. One part of the selection process before arriving to the personal meeting is the application online. So in this application online, you have the motivation letter that is, in my opinion, as important as the other parts of the selection process. So do understand that it's important to have a project, as the committee member said, that is feasible, that is doable, but it is also about you as a person, about you as a prospective leader. So in this phase, in this online application, take some time to think about your motivation letter, show there how much of leadership experience you have and how it impacted your life, and show the best of yourself, actually. Show how it fits you and how this fellowship actually fits and makes sense for you in the motivation part of the online form.
Thank you, Valter. Laura, do you have some other tips and tricks?
Yeah, I would say something very connected to what Damian just said is just like propose something that is really connected to your life history and your aims, or something that you would be passionate about, because I think you will spend kind of 1 year on this and it's good if it's well spent, and if that connects also to your past, but also with your future plans. I think that's very visible in the interview and in your letters and curriculum, and when you put everything together. So instead of course, we always do these things in parts, kind of the project and so on, but like give a very careful look to all the material that you prepare, looking if it really makes sense to an external reader that don't know you. And when you're talking, it's good that you have everything already in your head and in your heart. It's not something that you just took out of the blue or something. So yeah, I would just
thanks, Laura. So we heard the side of the fellows. Dr. Grasmück or Mrs. Pacheco, do you want to add something as well? A little bit of a tip from the selection committee and the selection department?
Yeah, I can actually just agree with Valter and Laura. You have really to love the project. I think that is really extremely important. Laura made a very good comment. You have to spend 1 year with this project. I never really thought about this from this point of view. So, but it's a really good comment. and it should really fit your lifetime. So perhaps something that was mentioned before, it can be also something new. Like we had candidates who enrolled, they had a different career, and then they did a master program in a different, I think it was in environment, and then they started to do, they actually had a new fresh start in their life career. And that project, they were also accepted. So it doesn't mean that you have been always working on environment issue, or we had one person here asking about empowering women, and another one on biological, what was it, biomolecular physics. This, of course, is also a possibility. So go for it. It's a very vast field. You can work on it. And again, you really have to be a person that really loves what you're doing, that loves to bring this, what you do, to other persons, that like to connect to other person, and that you have an idea how you will implement this also after the fellowship. I think that is a very important point.
Thank you, Mrs. Pacheco. Dr. Grasmück, do you want to add something?
Yes, maybe I would like to stress that you all should have in mind that this fellowship program is actually paid by the German federal government. And it's also meant at the end to strengthen the bilateral relations between Germany and Brazil. And that's why you should keep in mind, on long term, we want we want to sponsor bridge builders between your home country and Germany. And maybe if you think what project you could suggest, you should also keep this a little bit in mind, that also the project should be already visible as being a bridge building project, at least that with this project you can become a bridge builder later on.
That's great advice, and a nice point also for all of us to remember. I would like to thank all of you for your participation. Laura, Valter, congratulations on being fellows. It's hard work, and of course, you have to be congratulated for that. Dr. Grasmück, thank you so much for tuning in from Germany, as well as Valter. And Mrs. Pacheco, of course, we appreciate your view as a member of the selection committee. If any of you should have any questions, we're going to have an email address from the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation blended in shortly. So if you have any questions, you can send them to that email address. And of course, you can also visit the Alexander von Humboldt website to get more information about the program, and to read a little bit more and to get information on the hosts and help for that. So thank you all very much. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for staying with us for this 1 hour. And I wish all of the young people that are interested in being fellows good luck. And remember, the 15th of September is the deadline for you to send in your projects. So thank you all very much. I wish you all still a good day, and we'll see each other next year.
Hope so. Thank you also.
Yes.
Thank you also for your
activity. Bye-bye. Good luck to everybody.
Good luck for everyone that is applying.
Yeah.
Ciao. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.